Thank you, Commissioner McConney and Attorney Quinnen. Distasteful, unprofessional, inappropriate, in poor taste, juvenile, sexist, disgusting, dehumanizing. This selection of words does not come from a public comment section on a website, an op-ed columnist, or a protester outside the Norfolk County Courthouse. No, indeed, one would be forgiven for not immediately recognizing that these words are Michael Proctor's accounting of his own conduct in this case. Conduct in which Michael Proctor, tasked with the immense responsibility of acting as case officer for the investigation into the death of John O'Keefe, consumed alcohol and then operated his cruiser while on duty, released confidential information to individuals outside of law enforcement, and called suspect and eventual defendant Karen Reed a babe, a nutbag, retarded, a whack job. She's got a leaky balloon knot, leaks poo, a woman who shits herself with no ass. She's fucked. A cunt. As a result, the department brought forward 4 separate specifications within 2 types of charges for internal discipline. And in March, Colonel Noble terminated Michael Proctor's employment. In support of the just cause for doing so, beginning today, the department presents for your consideration its evidence of the appellant's guilt under the charges and specifications described as follows. Charge 1, Specification 1, unsatisfactory performance, sending derogatory, defamatory, disparaging, and inappropriate text messages about a suspect. Charge 1, Specification 2, unsatisfactory performance, provision of sensitive and confidential information about a homicide victim, potential witnesses, and potential investigative steps to non-law enforcement personnel. Charge 1, Specification 3, unsatisfactory performance, through unprofessional and inappropriate conduct, created an image that he was biased and brought himself and Massachusetts State Police into disrepute. And finally, Charge 2, Specification 1, consumption of alcoholic beverages while eating dinner on duty and then operating his department-issued cruiser. The department's defense of the just cause of the adverse employment action against Michael Proctor will be based entirely upon the evidence of his conduct, his violations of those specifications under our Article 5. To prove this case here in this de novo proceeding, the department will call OPIA Detective Lieutenant Kevin Dwyer, who was assigned an investigation initiated by DIS Commander Lieutenant Colonel Brian Connors. In addition to the testimony of Detective Lieutenant Dwyer, the department has submitted and has been entered into evidence for your review and consideration those 36 exhibits, demonstrating by a preponderance of the evidence that Colonel Noble had just cause to terminate Michael Proctor's employment. You will hear of Detective Lieutenant Dwyer's collection and assessment of the records of the appellant's misconduct, first brought to light in excruciating detail during 2 days of his public testimony at the homicide trial in Norfolk Superior Court on June 10th and 12th of 2024. You will have the opportunity to hear the appellant read in his own voice his vile, misogynistic statements against the woman accused of and tried for the death of Officer O'Keefe. You will have the opportunity to hear his revelations to high school friends and members of his family of the identity of the victim, his views on and details of the crime, the manner of the victim's death, the witnesses to be interviewed, and the direction of that investigation, some made under 24 hours of the discovery of Officer O'Keefe's body. You will hear his own characterizations of his conduct that I quoted to you before. And you will hear his admissions under Charge 2 that while he was on duty, he consumed 1 to 2 beers with an officer from Canton Police and then drove the 2 of them home. You will be given, in addition to the video recordings of that public testimony, transcripts of the appellant's own words for your review and reference, a summary of Detective Lieutenant Dwyer of his misconduct, of Michael Proctor's misconduct as revealed during the trial, pay station, administrative duty roster, and AVL data collected by Detective Lieutenant Dwyer, corroborating the appellant's account of his alcohol consumption while on duty, the statements and admissions by the appellant at his OPIA interview, and Detective Lieutenant Dwyer's conclusions therefrom, as well as the criminal trial exhibits themselves containing the appellant's messages. You will also have available for your consideration the findings and resulting recommendation of the department's internal trial board, as well as the limited selection of public reaction to the revelations of the appellant's behavior. Relevant portions of an interview he gave to ABC News following his termination, and an order from the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office for him to turn over as discoverable statements in a criminal prosecution under Rule 14 the content of his communications from his personal cell phone. The department expects that much by way of distraction will also be on offer in the days to come, in the form of dubious and flimsy comparisons, whataboutisms reflecting the choices of others, spurious emotional appeals to the absolutely real difficulties experienced by members assigned to a homicide investigation, and insinuations that written statements by a case officer regarding his own investigation are somehow private or out of bounds. In short, the department expects an appeal not based on the truth, but on evading accountability. The department respectfully asks that this commission, while receiving those distractions or attempts at same, keep in mind the evidence and the facts that are the basis for the department's case. It respectfully asks you to bear in mind that no one committed the acts for which he was terminated other than Michael Proctor alone. No one authorized his communications of sensitive and confidential case information about an active homicide investigation to others outside of law enforcement. No one forced or cajoled or even requested him to engage in such gratuitous behavior. And that Michael Proctor himself has admitted, as evidently he must, that his conduct was unprofessional, inappropriate, juvenile, sexist, disgusting, and dehumanizing. And that he has admitted that he in fact committed the acts exactly as described in the charges brought against him. Accordingly, at the conclusion of this hearing, the department expects to meet its burden, showing just cause, and will therefore ask this commission to uphold the termination of Michael Proctor. Thank you.